A man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on. These are the words of our 35th President, John F. Kennedy. Since John F. Kennedy had an important life and he was assassinated, he is honored at his gravesite in Arlington National Cemetery. He was born in Brookline, Massachusetts on May 29, 1917. He graduated from Harvard in 1940 and joined the Navy shortly after. When a Japanese destroyer rammed into his PT boat, he led survivors to safety, even though he was injured. He was awarded a Purple Heart for his actions. When he came back from the war, he became a Democratic congressman and then advanced to the Senate in 1953. While recovering from a back surgery in 1955, he wrote Profiles in Courage, which won the Pulitzer Prize in History. He almost got the Democratic nomination for vice president in 1956. In 1960, JFK was elected president. He was the first Roman Catholic president. In the fall of 1963, he was already planning for his next election. He was confident he was going to win. He knew the importance of gaining Texas and Florida for the election. One of the cities that they were traveling to was Dallas, and Jacqueline Kennedy accompanied him there. It was her first appearance since the death of their son, Patrick. People lined up in the streets to wave to the Kennedys. It was a nice day, so the president had the bulletproof windows down. The Texas governor and his wife were in the car with JFK and Jacqueline. As soon as the first shot was fired, the bodyguard ran up to the president's car. The hospital team was alerted and was on standby for the arrival of JFK. He was pronounced dead shortly after arriving at the hospital at 1 p.m. The police found a sniper rifle on the 5th floor of the Texas School Book Repository, along with shell casings and a sniper's post on the 6th floor. An officer named J.D. Tippit approached Lee Harvey Oswald, whom fit the description of the suspect, and Tippit was shot 3 times and killed. The police arrested Oswald after a little scuffle. Oswald dropped out of school to join the Marines, and he became a sharpshooter. He was honorably discharged from the Marines to give his mother financial support. He was murdered by Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner, while being transferred to a different facility. There's no definite evidence that there was a conspiracy, and Oswald had the skills to do it. JFK's casket was in the same spot that Lincoln's was when he was assassinated. Anyone who has served in the military is entitled to be buried at Arlington National Cemetery. The original gravesite was 20 feet by 30 feet and surrounded by a white picket fence. In the first 3 years, over 10 million people came to see his gravesite. Because there were so many visitors, the cemetery and JFK's family decided to rebuild a nicer gravesite. John Warnke was chosen to rebuild the site. Construction began in 1965 and ended on July 20th, 1967. The area around the grave is paved with Cape Cod granite, and clover was planted to make the grave look like it was naturally in a Massachusetts field. At the head of the grave, there's a 5-foot circular granite stone with a flame in the middle that was lighted by Mrs. Kennedy during the funeral. This is called the Eternal. The burner was created by the Institute of Gas Technology of Chicago. There is a constantly flashing spark near the tip of the nozzle in case of wind, rain, or any accident would ever blow it out. The gravesite is 3.2 acres in total. His infant daughter, who died unnamed, was originally buried in Newport, Rhode Island, and was buried next to him as of December 4th, 1963. Patrick Bouvier Kennedy, his infant son, was born premature and buried in Brookline, Massachusetts, until he was buried next to JFK also on December 4th, 1963. Jacqueline Kennedy was buried next to John in 1994 when she died of cancer. JFK's family all imagined gravestones. His inaugural address is etched into the stone at his gravesite, and by 2010 the letters were barely legible. John Everett Benson restored his gravesite. John F. Kennedy is honored at his gravesite in Arlington National Cemetery because he had an important life and he was assassinated. And as our 35th president, John F. Kennedy, once said, "A man may die, nations may rise and fall, but an idea lives on."